Hi Flutter devs, welcome back to another tutorial. Today we are diving into the GestureDetector widget, one of the most versatile tools in Flutter for handling user interactions like taps, swipes, and long press. Let's get started. What is GestureDetector? GestureDetector is a Flutter widget that captures gesture such as taps, swipe, and double taps and performs action based on them. It's perfect for making your app interactive. Let's start with a simple example of detecting a single tap. On my screen here, I have my void main method, which has the run app method, and I have my stateless widget, which is my app, which returns material app. I'm going to be having my home here. So I'm going to create a folder here inside my lib folder, and I'm going to name it demo. Then I'm going to create a file and name it gesture_demo.dat. I'm going to create a stateless widget and name it gesture demo. I'm going to import my material.dat. And then here I'm going to return a scaffold and have an app bar, which I'm going to call app bar, and then give it title. I'm going to take a text and I'm going to give it, I'm going to call it GestureDetector demo. And I'm going to add my const here to remove the blue line and save this. So I'm going to go back to my main.dat. Then the new widget which I've just created, I'm going to import it now. Gesture demo. Yeah, I'm going to add constant here and save it now. Now you can see that I have my white background now on my mobile screen. Then I'm going to go back to my gesture demo, and then I'm just going to have the body, which is going to have a container, and I'm going to give it a width of 100 and height of 100. And I'm going to give you a color, which is going to be colors.blue. And this my container, I want it to have a text, so I'm going to give it a child, and I'm going to use test widget, which is going to say tap me. And let's style it to give it a style. Test style. I'm going to give you colors.white and a font size of 16 pixels. So let's add constant here to remove the blue line. Let's save this. So we have our tap me. So on my screen here, we have our container which has tap me inside. So I'm going to center this text. I'm going to center this text, factor and center, and then I'm going to remove my const from here and place it here. Also, I'm going to center this I'm going to place it here, and then let's save it. So we have this container which has tap me. So on my screen here, I have a container which have tap me as its child widget. So now I'm going to be wrapping this container with a gesture detector. Gesture detector. And the essence of this gesture detector is that it makes this our container interactive. So when you hover on this gesture detector, you can see ton of functions that you can perform with this container. Now you can untap down. So when I untap down, it will, and you pass a function what you want it to do when you are when you tap this thing, this container down, it will perform a function. Also, you can see we have on tap up, on tap cancel, but most of the time we normally use on tap. And I'm going to show you how the on tap works. So when you have on tap here, on tap is going to take a function, and then inside this function you can describe, or you can write the function of what you want to happen when you on tap on this container. So I'm just going to, for now, print something on my console here. So I'm going to have box tapped, and then I'm going to add semicolon here, save it. So when I tap on this now, you can see I have box tapped. So there are tons of function you can perform with this gesture detector. So apart from the on tap, let's look at two more examples of what we can perform, of what we can do with this gesture detector. And it's going to be, let's have on double tap. So that means when I double tap my container, I want something to happen. So I'm going to have my the function I want to perform when I on double tap. So I'm going to just print box double tapped. And lastly, I want to have on long press. So when I press this my container for a long time, I want something to happen. So I'm going to have the method, and then I'm going to say box long pressed, and then I'm going to save this now. So on my debug console here, you can see that we have nothing here for now. So let me tap it just once. We have box tapped. Let me double tap onto. Now we have box double tapped, and let me press it for a long time. You can see I have box long press. So these are some of the things you can do with your gesture detector. Gesture detector gives whatever widgets you are wrapping it around the ability to be interactive. So it's not necessarily you don't necessarily have to use a container. It can be your test widget. It can even be the scaffold. So let me just copy this. Let me remove this, and let me refactor this and remove this widget. Let me wrap it around our scaffold widget. Say call this gesture detector, and let me put those functions inside this now. So if I save this now and I tap this, my screen, you can see I have box tapped. If I double tap, I have box double tap. So this gesture detector enables your widget to be interactive. Another thing we can do with gesture detector is that gesture detector is also great for detecting drag gesture. So I want to make this draggable. You can also use your gesture detector. So I'm going to be showing us an example of how we can do that. So I'm going to just create a file here, which is going to be draggable box.dat, and this time around is going to be a stateful widget. I'm going to name it draggable box, and then I will just over on this and then import material.dat. So I'm also going to be returning my scaffold here, and then add the upper, which I'm going to give a title. I'm going to call it, I'm going to have my test widget. I'm going to call it draggable box. I'll add constants here just to remove the blue line. So I'm going to save this, and then after saving it, I'll go to my main.dat, and then I'll replace the gesture demo widget with my new widget, and then import this and save. So I have a new screen now. So let's go back to the draggable box widget. And here I'm going to be using stack. So I'm going to have the body here. I'm going to be using the stack widget. Then I'm going to give it children. And my child is going to be a container like the other time. So I'm just going to come here and I'm going to copy this container widget. Let's copy this container widget. And then I'm going to paste it here. And then after pasting here, so let's save this and see what we have on the screen. So on the screen, we have a container on the top left of the screen which says tap me. So I'm just going to change this tap me to drag me this time around. And then I'm going to wrap this with this container. I'm going to wrap it with a factor. Then I'm going to wrap it with a widget, which is called positioned. This position enables us to place our container at a particular position we want on our screen. So if you hover on this now, it's going to tell you that you have to provide the left and the top, the right, the bottom, the width, and the height. And it also takes a child, and we already have the child, which is the container. So the position you want it to be, so these are left, and it also takes double. So what we're going to do first is that we're going to create some variables up here. We're going to create some variables up here, and we're going to say double. We're going to say x equals to 0, and we're going to double y equals to 0, meaning that initial position of x is at 0 and initial position of y is at 0. So we're going to come back here to this position, and we're going to say our left it's x, which is 0, and then our top is y, which is also 0. So if you save this, you will not notice any change because it's at that same position for now. So if I change this to, let's say I change this to 30 and I change this to 45, you'll notice that they will change position. So let me restart. So you can see that the position of my drag me box have changed because I changed the value of x to 30 and value of y to 46. For now, we're just going to leave it at 0, and we're going to let the gesture detector widget to determine the position of our box. Save it. I'm going to restart because I'm using a stateful widget. Okay, so now what we're going to do now is that we're going to wrap this container with a widget called the gesture detector. So my gesture detector is going to take the on pan update, which is a callback function that gets triggered when a pan gesture is detected and an update label. So when this notice on a pan gesture and so when a pan gesture is detected, maybe I move this box around, so it notice that there's an update that is available, then the function is triggered. So the next thing it takes is that it takes detail, and then it performs a function. So this detail is coming from your movement of this box. Then the next thing is that we're going to use we're going to set the value of x. Initially, the value of x is at 0 and y is at 0. So we're going to set the new value of x to be x plus equals to details. That means the details that is coming here dot delta dot dx, and y is going to be your plus equals to details dot delta dot dy, and I'm going to have my comma here. Yes. So let me explain what this simply means. The details.data.dx simply means that the change that you notice on the horizontal position. So whatever change, initially it's at 0. So when you drag this container now, there will be a change in value. So whatever change in value you notice, let that new value be our x, and whatever change in value you notice on the vertical position, let that be our y. So since we are using a stateful widget, and we understand that in stateful widget, once the value change, the widget has to be rebuilt. So if I save this now, and if I just save this now and I drag this now, nothing is going to happen because I have not make use of what we call the set state. So I'm going to add this, and I'm going to copy this now. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste this here and save it. So let me restart. So you can see now, if I drag this now, it's going to change position. So the position is changing. So these are what we can, so the position is changing. So just to understand that the value of x and y are changing, I'm going to come here and I'm going to just say print x equals to, so that you can see the new value of x, and also print y equals to y. And I'm going to save this, save this, and then I'm going to come down here. So when I drag, now check the debug console. Now when I drag this now, you can see now y is equals to 165.2999 x's. So when I drag this, the value of x and y change. These are the result of the gesture detector and with a callback function, which is our unpan update. So in this draggable box, we use the unpan update to track the drag movement and update the box position dynamically. So gesture detector is a powerful widget for adding interactivity to your Flutter app. We use it to handle tap, just like I mentioned, drag, swipe, and more. If you found this tutorial helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one. Thank you.